This video will be about three recent issues on the religious atmosphere in Nigeria: the Rebecca Blasphemy issue, the APC primary convention, and the eventual Muslim ticket, as well as the Supreme Court Hijab ruling. I am Ashraf Akintola, and this is Atemiz TV. For those who do not know, Nigeria is an interestingly complicated country. A country that flows with milk and honey but suffers from the scourge of ethnic and religious hypocrisy. Everything from political appointment, school admission, hospital care, and even job application into public institutions, among many others, are colored by these ethnic and religious undertones. We live under the pretense of one nation, whereas you can easily map out Nigeria based on religious affiliations than any other metrics. Even though there is hardly any family relations, job, or friendly acquaintances that has no mix of both religions, yet both parties engage in a constant battle of dominance with each other, with each always gunning for the win at the expense of the other. We pride ourselves as overly religious and compete in building places of worship. Our churches are the biggest in the world, and our mosques do not do justice to the status of those who pray in them. More than a month ago, a lady was lynched because she insulted Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and irate Muslim youths took laws into their hands and administered jungle justice. The reason for their actions, some would argue, is the continuous persecution of Muslims in Nigeria without reprimand, a situation where Muslims are removed from their fundamental human rights, like hijab for the female Muslims in public and even private institutions in the country. Likewise, the lack of faith in the judicial system to administer the appropriate justice for offenses against the other religion, among many others. This accumulated frustration thus further added fuel to the raging fire of religious intolerance in Nigeria. Shortly after that, the All Progressive Congress (APC), the ruling party in Nigeria, had its primary election to select its presidential flag bearer for next year's general election. Among the contestants are two foremost pastors from renowned Nigerian churches: Professor Pastor Yemi Osinbajo, who is the present Nigerian vice president, and who many would argue became the vice president on the ticket of his boss, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a Muslim. The other is Pastor Tunde Bakare, who stated that God had told him he would be the next Nigerian president. Eventually, Asiwaju won the primary election, and hopes were high as to who he is going to pick as his running mate. The general belief is that he would pick a Christian northerner to balance the equation of religious and ethnic representation in the government. He eventually picked a Muslim northern running mate, and that was where the rubble began rousing. Few days ago, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of female Muslims wearing hijab in schools across the country, and the accumulated reactions that trailed all the three cases mentioned earlier was what prompted this video. To address these raging issues, let us take a look at what non-Muslims as well as uninformed Muslims need to know in order to achieve the saner clime we all desire. Number one, Nigeria is not a secular country. It is safe to say that we constantly strive to achieve religious neutrality. To maintain the delicate equilibrium among the different tribes and religions, we need to understand and respect the sanctity of each other's religious values. As long as we do not trample on each other's rights, our living together would always be cordial. Number two, as Muslims, we do not joke with our religion and its values. Allah and His Messenger are both dearer to us than anyone in the world, and not even ourselves or our parents. We can be friends and even close acquaintances, but our religion is the limit we do not play with. No serious Muslim would keep quiet where and when Islam is being desecrated. He may even become an hypocrite by doing so. That is why you see us fight and speak against any anti-Islamic rhetoric as best as we can within the legal ambit. 3. Religious persecution is as old as humans themselves, but in a society that has laws, it is expected that each religious affiliations are given their rights in order to prevent a breakout of lawlessness. In the case of blasphemy, there is no doubt that in a country that practices Sharia, anyone that is found guilty of that offense by a competent court of law is to be killed. The Rebecca's incident was quite unfortunate, and it does not in any way represent what Islam preaches. The perpetrators are nothing but criminals that should be apprehended and dealt with. Their actions are far from what Islam preaches. However, as Muslims, we do not fold our hands when our religious values are trampled upon, no matter who the person is. We would pursue all legal means to get our rights, just like the recent hijab case. Number 4. For the Muslim ticket, this euphoria is not something new. During Buhari's time, there was this cry of Islamization agenda, and this coming up now is not a new tactic to dissuade the electorate from voting their choice. Ashiwaju's wife is a pastor in the same church with Professor Oshibajo, to cite one among numerous examples of facts that disprove the Islamization claim of the detractors. We have seen Christian clerics informing their congregation not to cast their votes for swines, and others publicly preaching that this next election is a vote for Christ. Politics is a game of numbers, and if it is going to be by let Muslims vote for Muslims and Christians for Christians, then we are patiently awaiting who will truly win the election. Number 5. There have been several attempts by the Christian missionaries for more than 3 decades now, and for as long as the history of Nigeria, since the colonialists came into the shores of the country to Christianize Nigeria. We have had the crusade of Bishop Benson Idahosa, Pastor Reinhard Bonke, and the most recent one, Daniel Kolenda. Among their tactics is to go to government schools and share small Gideon Bibles to students. Our schools were literally turned into an evangelism ground, and yet no Muslims has ever had the effrontery of causing the rukus. In fact, no Muslim organization or individual has ever gotten up to champion or state their Islamization agenda in Nigeria. Rather, it was a term invented by the Christians to make the oppressed look like the oppressor. These are facts backed by evidences. Number 6. In addition to this, the public and private media houses have been up and against the Muslim affairs in the country. Criminal acts perpetrated by people with Muslim names are cunningly attached to Islam, while the case is different if it is of other faiths. This is in addition to intentionally distorting the facts to appear as the victim. Foremost among this is the Boko Haram and bandits ravaging the Muslim north of the country. In fact, Muslims have been the heaviest casualties of the more than a decade's daily rampage of killing. Yet, the media has successfully created an impression in our minds that it is part of the plan to take over and Islamize the country. Number 7. Islam doesn't recognize any other religion but Islam. But as soon as people decide not to be Muslims, we are commanded to respect their choices and not abuse them because of what they choose to worship. We are not to curse or abuse other people's God, and we are to steer clear of bending our religion to other religious dictates. We crave for a better society as much as everyone else, but for us to have an harmonious relationship, each party must learn to respect each other's ideals and preferences. All tribes and religions have contributed significantly to the development of our country. We cannot at this point fall prey into the hands of those who would weaponize what should be our strength against us. We do not have any other country to call ours than Nigeria, so we must all come together to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Till another time, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.